words. So I'm looking at the pages now, and it seems like there's not really chapters, but there's like short, like little parts of different characters' opinions. Okay. So, I'm gonna say they're chapters. I'm just gonna call them chapters. So, chapter 1, Father. Emma Rose was the name of her last born child, except it was a lie. Her name should have been Naima Rose, but everyone called her Rose rather than Emma. So a lie didn't matter, at least. That is what I told myself. The rose part of her name came from the symbol that lies at the center of the wild rose, which is fitting because she was lodged at every center of my heart. I loved each of her 7 brothers and sisters, but I will admit there was always something that set Rose apart from the others, and it wasn't just the way she looked. She was the hardest to know of my children, and that was because she would not stay still. Every time I held her as a baby, she would look up at me, intent, smiling with her bright purple eyes, but soon and always those eyes would stray past my shoulder, seeking the window and what lay beyond. Rose's birth gift was a small pair of soft boots made of reindeer hide. They were brought by Torsk, a neighbor, and as he fastened them on Rose's tiny feet with his large, calloused hands, I saw my wife, Eugenia, frown. She tried to hide it, turning her face away. Torsk did not see the frown, but looked up at us, beaming. He was a widower with grown sons and a gift for leatherwork, eager to show off his handiwork and unmindful of the difficult circumstances of Eugenia's recent birthing. He had been the first to show up on her doorstep. Most of her neighbors were well aware of how superious Eugenia was. They also knew what a baby's first gift was laden with meaning, but cheerful, large-handed Torsk paid no heed. But cheerful, large-handed Torsk paid no heed to this. He just gazed down at the small soft boots on Rose's feet and looked ready to burst with pride. The fit is good, he observed with a wide smile. I nodded, then said, with the vague thought of warning him, "It is Rose's first gift." His smile grew even wider. "Oh, this is good." Then a thought penetrated his head. "She will be a traveler, an explorer," he said with enthusiasm. So he didn't know of the first gift's superstition after all. This time Eugenia did not attempt to hide the frown that creased her face, and I tensed, fearing what she might say. Instead, she reached down and straightened one of the boot ties. "Thank you, neighbor Torsk," she said through stiff lips. Her voice was cold, and a puzzled look passed over the big man's face. I stepped forward and, muttering something about Eugenia still being weak, ushered Torsk to the door. "Was there something wrong with the boots?" he asked, bewildered. No, I reassured him. "They are wonderful. Eugenia is tired, and that is all. And you know mothers, they like to keep their babies close." She's not quite ready for the notion of little Rose wandering the countryside, nor would she ever be. Thought I did not say that to neighbor Torsk. That night, after we had pried Nettie from Rose's basket and gotten all the others to sleep, Eugenia said to me, "Didn't Widow Ostig bring over a crock of butter for the baby?" She was only returning what you loaned her. I said, no, it was for Emma Rose, her first gift. I'm quite sure. Her voice was defined. Eugenia did not like to keep her children close, but it turned out she wanted to keep Rose closest of all, and they had everything to do with the circumstances of Rose's birth. End of chapter 1. Let's see here. I'll read chapter 2 and 3 because I'll just read. So, I'll just read chapter 2 and the next video will be chapter 3 and stuff. Chapter 2, Nettie. Our family wasn't always poor. My grandfather is Bjorn Lavrens had a well-respected map-making business, and my father's father was a prosperous farmer. But father had a falling out with his family when he went to Bergen to be an appreciation of the map maker Esteborn. My mother Eugenia was the Esteborn's daughter, which is how father met her. Father and mother had 8 children. Rose was the last born, and I was the second to last, 4 years old when they brought Rose home from Ascoy Forest. Some would say 4 is too young to remember, but I definitely have memories, lots of them. I remember her smell like warm milk and soft green moss. I remember the noises she made, gurgling like the creek we later took to, calling Rosie's Creek because she fell into it so often, the clicking she made with the tongue, like a wren pecking at our chimney, the howls of frustration when she kept tumbling over while learning to walk. Not that it took her long, she was running around on her short legs at just 5 months. I also remember clearly the evening mother and father came home from an afternoon of herb hunting. And instead of herbs, they were carrying a lump